Hello, Ricky. Brian Earhart with DGN here. Since you won your first world title here on this course in 2016, your finishes on this course have been third, second, fourth, second. Consistent, but so close to the win and just not quite there to break through. What mistakes along the way when you look back at those performances were keeping you from breaking through and taking another victory down on this property?
Yeah, it's actually funny because a lot of, putting just isn't a variable when it's this windy. And so it's something to where over the years I've just got hyper aggressive in the wind and three-putted too many times. And it sounds funny because normally that's where I separate myself. But out here you can separate yourself in the opposite way. If you go for too many putts and blow by the basket and have 30-foot comeback putts for par all day, that's a long day. And so I remember doing that a lot in the previous years that, you have a 30-foot headwind putt, and it's 30-mile-an-hour headwind. You're not going to make that very often. Don't care who you are. And so I think it's a lot about just being smart when you go for shots and just being strategically aggressive and knowing that you're not going to be scoring these 10 or 12 under rounds out here. And especially when it's 30-mile-an-hour winds, it's just not a thing. And so you really have to, play to what the course and what the conditions give you. And I think that over the years, me playing in all these different, windy situations here at Emporia, I know what kind of scores I need to shoot to win. And so I think that's going to be a huge advantage for me.
Definitely. Speaking of the windy putting, I made an observation just kind of watching you recently. You've been switching from a longer jump putt from Circle 2, and you've been standing and delivering a spin putt a lot more often than I've seen you in the past. Is that because of your frustrations putting in the wind from longer distances?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that, my putt's not the best in the wind because I just kind of exposed, I'm nose down and it's not the best. So I just kind of have to adapt, and that's what you have to do when you get different windy situations. So that's why I have different putting, styles for different, like you said, sometimes I'm spin putting and doing a standstill spin putt as opposed to a high to low pitch putt. And so, I think I'll be doing a lot of spin putting. It's just all, tailwinds I can get away with riding that tailwind and with my normal putt, and then headwinds I'll probably be doing a lot of spin putting. It's a better nose angle going into the wind.
When you won your world championship here in 2016, you were playing with Latitude, so you were throwing Trilogy Plastic, and now you're back here throwing Trilogy Plastic. Since your last world title throwing Trilogy Plastic, how has your play style changed?
Yeah, that's a great question because, as your players evolve and they, you learn things, you grow as a player, you see a lot of different things, and you're always learning. And so for me, I've like I said, I've adapted different putting styles. I've adapted different throwing styles. I feel like I can hit a lot more angles. I feel like my course management, my mental game, I'm stronger in so many different fields. And I think that that's something to where just like as a person and as an athlete, you're always growing and learning. And so it's awesome to look back and see how much of a, better player I am just as far as, understanding the dynamics of, how the swing works, how all the different variables to a swing, to a putt. You're always saying, hey, how can I get better? How can I get more consistent? So even if you're playing at a high level, you're always critiquing, always changing. And it's cliche, but they always say if you're not changing and getting better and going back to the drawing board, sometimes you're just taking a step back. So I'm always I'm always thinking about it in bed. Hey, how can I make my form better? How can I reach back my arm to get into better position to throw longer shots or more controlled shots? So yeah, I'm just like anybody else. I'm always striving for that little bit better in my form.
Thanks. Good luck this week.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey.
Hayden with PGA. We're like a quarter away through 2022. How would you break it down? Not just your game, but what you're seeing from the entire MPO field week in and week out.
Well, I think for me, I feel like I'm pretty solid. I've had a couple off tournaments, and this last week in Jonesboro, it was like I had like a mental hangover after Champions Cup. I kind of needed a week off and really just wasn't there mentally before the tournament. I kind of told my tour manager, hey, this is a week off while still playing the tournament, so to say. So it was awesome to see how it turned out, and Calvin, clutched up at the end. That was fun. I turned into a spectator for a week, but it's very week in and week out. There's a lot of players playing at a high level, and I think that you're seeing that, the runs me and Paul went on as far as winning 10 tournaments in a season. That's something that like in 2016 and 17, that's kind of something I did, and Paul's done it before in seasons past. but that's going to be hard to do. And you can do it, and it's something to where I think there'll be a select few players that can do it. But there's going to be more people that pop up for a tournament here and there. I think this season's going to be a type of season to where if you have 2 or 3 wins and a bunch of top 5s, top 10s, that's going to be just as impressive as winning 10 tournaments 5 years ago. So I think that's something to where I'm striving for consistency, because you can play great and you can play at a high level and still not win. And I know, the fans and everybody are, expecting, the top players to win every single week, but that, it doesn't matter what sport you are. It's hard to win. And so when you do get a win, it's that much more rewarding.
Yeah, has this growing field and parity altered your expectations any? I know you want to win every week, but when you think about it like that and seeing players pop up left and right, does it alter it?
Yeah, I think you see a lot of shuffles each week. You hear the narrative, oh, this player's the best player in the world after one tournament. It's like, I've been around for 12 years. I see that, hey, just because you have one good tournament doesn't mean you're the best player in the world. It's a cumulative of, hey, how can you finish week in and week out for a whole season, not just a stretch of tournaments where maybe you're a good woods golfer and you play good for that stretch, or a good distance thrower and you play good in Vegas. It's all about, throughout a season, how can you maintain all the different courses, all the different variables of being a professional athlete. It's not just performing on the leaderboard. It's how can I recover, come back mentally to feel like I'm in the zone every week, which is hard to do. And the growing field makes it even that much harder. So, it's awesome for the viewing pleasure, I'm sure, to see a lot of new faces on the lead cards and battling for wins.
Hey, Rick, Chris with Gatekeeper Media. When you won your Worlds here in 2016, disc golf media was in a different state. It was a lot of just coverage. Nowadays, there's press conferences like this, supplemental content. You keep finding yourself in the spotlight. How do you keep it in balance, the media presence, as well as being one of the best players in the world?
Yeah, so it's, having a tour manager, being able to, Ari, she's so helpful with planning stuff out, scheduling things. Hey, you're going to have to be here this day. At this tournament, we're going to be doing this media. You got a press conference at 2:50 like I'm here today. And so I'm always just scheduling stuff out more. I mean, when I was, 20, 21, you're just running around with the chicken with your head cut off, going around the country doing this. Wherever you show up, you show up. There's no, real schedule. So it's a totally different ballgame now for professionals. You have to be responsible. You have to be on time. All things you preach growing up, it's all coming to fruition, and it's something to where I'm glad that I've built a good, solid base, touring as long as I have, and just treating it like a professional sport, like I do with every other facet of my life, health and wellness, media, playing and practicing. So it just goes along with all the stuff that I already do.
Going back to 2016 and being on Trilogy now, are there any discs in your bag from that World Championship?
There's not. I wouldn't say specifically one disc. Unfortunately, I got rid of a lot of my old stuff because I didn't know what the future was going to hold, and I'm obviously glad to be back. But yeah, I didn't. There's a lot of new discs. So many new discs. I mean, there's a couple that I would probably throw, but Trilogy's brand has grown a lot, and my brand's grown a lot. I think that's a big reason why we've come together. But yeah, there's a lot of newer discs that I think would have kicked the old discs out, and so I think even if I had them, I'd probably keep the newer stuff because it's they're plastic, their molds and stuff has just improved so much.
Since coming to Dynamic in this year, you've had a lot of great releases with disc. The Sockibomb Slammer did really well. Do we have any insight on anything this week?
Yeah, so we'll be doing the Sockibomb Slammer is going to be releasing in the Orbit plastic. So it's a new plastic. The old one sold out, and we're doing a new one at the, I believe the retail store will have some, and then I'll have some at my booth, custom stamps and stuff like that. So if you're here for the block party, be sure to check that out, and I will have some of the goodies there, some of my new Raiders. My new plastic Raiders, the Signature Series, those have been pretty hot and popular, and those have been flying really good for me. I'll be throwing them this week as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Rick. Terry here with Disc Golf Network. One quick question for you. EMAC earlier referenced Emporia kind of being like Disneyland, and I'll say, following along with your plastic and your molds, when you come here, you're at the warehouse. You're at the place where so much plastic is then shipped around the country. Is it like a kid in a candy store? Are you wandering around the shelves picking out discs and discs that will actually go into your bag?
I can affirm that it definitely feels like Disney World because I was just in Disney in Florida a couple weeks ago and it had a similar vibe. No, But yeah, I know there's so much going on here. I think the fact that you can have so much going on in a town that has nothing going on is it sounds stupid, but it's totally true, because Emporia, there's not much here, and disc golf and this week there's so much to do. You can do something every day. You can do like 20 different activities, tournaments, poker nights. Go to the warehouse, stamp a disc. If you're a pro, it's an amazing place. If you're an amateur, it's an amazing place for so many different reasons. And it's sometimes overwhelming, especially for the Trilogy players. We're just constantly doing media. It's the 1 week we're here in Emporia. Obviously, we're coming back for Worlds, but normally this is the 1 week we're here. We got to squeeze everything in. And then we're playing 2 courses, and we're coming from Jonesboro, only have 3 days to practice, and in a whole new course. So yeah, it can be overwhelming at times. It's fun to throw discs, but there's just so much more to it. And sometimes it turns into a grind, and this week sometimes feels like a grind doing all the media and just doing all the different things. But yeah, it's all good. And once the tournament starts, I'll be able to relax, take a deep breath, and just kind of focus on the tournament.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck, everyone. That's Ricky Wysocki. We'll be back in a moment.
Thanks, guys.